Good morning. Jim here with a new update on not so much the fish tanks themselves as some fish stories. Ray and I used to do our fishing trips, and more recently I've had some fishing trips now that he's passed, and I used to call him with stories anytime, minor things, pick up some fish, local store or something. And I have to admit I miss that, so I'm going to share it with you instead. But I want to start off by pointing out the progress with that white fixture in the back. If you remember in the last update last week, I talked about how that was covered over with the algae, which seemed to have been dying as I cut back on the lighting. Remember, I have the light on now from 7 till noontime, and then off until 5, and then 5 until 10 o'clock at night. And that seems to be helping a lot with the algae growth that was overtaking this tank. So it's looking much better now, and I've probably spent a good half hour just scrubbing that particular piece. And when the algae is thriving, boy, you can't get it off those pieces no matter how much you try. And this one, with the algae, I think, dying for lack of light, it was a lot easier to do. So we're making some progress, I guess I want to say, even though I can see it building up on this piece in the center. And so I need to take that out and scrub that down. And I've been working, as I said, on even the gravel where some of these stones pick up that algae. And individually at night while I'm watching TV or something, I'll be putting my hands in there and taking out one little piece at a time, just making progress. And it feels good to be doing something each day with the tank. Anyway, the story, as I said, my latest fishing trip. I went to a local town a couple miles away, and since I was over there, I stopped in the local PetSmart. And I find the chains don't do too bad. I mean, I like the Hidden Reef over in Bristol, Pennsylvania. I often talk about the opportunities over there. And that's think of a large food chain store that they've taken over that location. So it's a huge fish store, hundreds of tanks, and anything you could possibly want they have. And the prices are not too bad, especially if you pick out something that's on a reasonable price for some of the tanks as I've talked about. And then down the road from there, there's the Fish Factory, which I would classify as an eclectic small shop that has a strange way of keeping their fish, but they do have some regular tanks, and you can find some good buys there. So recently, for example, those 10 neons I got for $17.99 instead of $2.50 a piece. That's the type of thing you would find there. And while the plants at the Hidden Reef were sort of sparse, I found a couple nice, that Laguigia that we see over in the back here, the one that doesn't have the algae on it right now, is the new one. So it's been there about a week and it seems to be thriving. That came from there, for example. Same thing with this plant over here, next to the very well-doing Anacris, and I forget what this is called, but it's doing okay too. So it's the kind of thing you find at the small store. But anyway, back to PetSmart. And so they had a sale on the fish, which was unusual because in the recent months, they've changed their marketing. And the sales would be buy two, get one free. And that really didn't get down to a price that I thought was reasonable. But for the first time in a long time, they had red tags on the tanks, and they had sale prices on some of the live bearers, like the platies especially. And so they looked pretty good, and I got it 3 different kinds. And when I went to the front register, they came up with the regular price. Now, they take your phone number. If you're registered with them, you get the discounted price, but it didn't show up. And so I pointed that out. You got to pay attention when you're at the register. Pointed that out. They called back to the fish room, and sure enough, the guy gave them the right prices, and they adjusted. And I said to him, I said, are you going to fix that? Because the average person might not notice what the prices were coming out. And it was significant different. I mean, like 100% more than the sale price if you weren't paying attention. And they said, oh, yeah. So anyway, no big deal. But then I went to our local PetSmart, figuring, well, let's see what supply of fish they have. And I was going to get some more. Well, all their red tags, you could see where they ripped them off. There was just a little bit left, so you knew where they had been. And I said, what happened to the sale? Oh, well, the sale's over. And it turned out, she said, we had some problems with the computers and the sale price wasn't coming up, so we took the sale tags off. Well, thanks a lot. You're taking the sale price off because your computer doesn't work right? Anyway, I didn't buy any fish. So yesterday, I was up in the Hamilton Square area here in New Jersey, and It's about a 45-minute ride. I was having lunch with some friends, and I stopped by the big PetSmart there. And I ran into what you'd hope to find in those fish rooms. Erica had been there 12 years. She knew what she was doing. She was cleaning tanks. And I explained to her my experience. And she said, well, you know, they didn't have sale tags on theirs either. And she said, you know, they've been having some problem with the computers, this and that. I said, oh, well, you know, I'm looking for the sale price. She said, well, here, wait a minute. Let me go get our scanner, and I'll scan the tags for you and let you know what the real price is. I said, well, all right. And so she did, and they came up at the sale prices. So, for example, a $2.19 platy was 99 cents. That's a significant savings. I mean, for that, I'll buy 10 of those. And same thing with some others. If it was $2.99, I think it came out to $1.49. If it was $2.49, it came out to $1.24. And so I ended up buying about 4 different kinds of fish, and even the black mollies. I love black mollies. They don't typically do well, although I had success last year with them for a while. But they looked reasonable, and so I said, I don't think they're on sale, but why don't you scan it anyway? And so these $2.79 black mollies came out to $1.19, I think it was. Well, you know what? That's a good price. So I got 4 of them. And so it is just strange to me, and I did make a point when I went to the register to make sure the prices came up right. They did. I mean, Erica had written down on a piece of paper the code number and the sale price for each of those 4 fish that I got. And so when I went to the register, they came up at the regular price, and then she looked at the paper and she adjusted the price to the sale price. So they handled it right. I must admit, as I was going out the door, I thought to myself, I got to go back here. And I went back and I said, can I see a manager? And sure enough, I went to the manager's office and I told them, I said, I just wanted to tell you, Erica did a great job back there. And I explained to them what had been going on and how she handled it. I think we need to be positive about that when we get that kind of service and recognize the individuals that give it. I'm not trying to point out people that don't, but I do want to recognize those that do. And Erica did a nice job, both in treating the customer with respect, secondly, solving the problem, which was obviously there, as opposed to just pushing it off. Third, she did a good job catching the fish that I wanted, as opposed to some of the others that didn't look quite as healthy as they should be. And so we've got some new color in the tank, and that's mainly these platies over here, the sunset with the black tails. And everybody else seems to be doing just fine. Very pleased with the anacris, how it's growing. And again, like I said, I'm pleased with how that looks now that it's cleaned up. Interesting, we've got a pleco down here that you may be able to see. I'm not behind the camera, so I'm not zooming in. But pleco is a small pleco. The 2 plecos went in here at the same time. And I don't see the other one. But anyway, the other one's about 3 times the size of this one. And they both went in the same size, same time. This one's a darker color, so maybe it's a different variety. But anyway, that's the update for today. I just want to share the fish story with you. Oh, the fish that I was telling you about the other day in the corner tank is a thread fin rainbow fish. And I couldn't remember what its name was, and I didn't recall. But it's a thread fin rainbow fish. They're doing well. There's 3 of them, and they're doing exactly what they're known for. That is flaring up at each other when they come across each other. And I think they're all males. I couldn't really tell. They say that often that's what you'll find in the stores. So anyway, there's the word for you. And they must be fairly new out there, because both the Hidden Reef and the Fish Factory had that fish. And I haven't ever seen that fish before. And it's a small fish, but look at it in your local stores. See if you can find it. It's not a PetSmart. And Petco is the other one around here that I go to. And then there's a Pets Plus. No, not Pets Plus. Something like that. It's an individual store. Never can find something that's reasonably priced there. Everything is expensive. But I always go in and check. And sometimes they have a plant that looks pretty good. And I don't mind paying $4.99 for a plant that looks pretty good. So I'm fortunate to have the choice of those stores locally. And it's fun going fishing, as Ray and I used to do. And it's fun to discover some opportunities there. And I hope that in your locale you have equally opportunistic moments to find that plant or that fish that looks good and is the right price and can be added to your tank like we have here. Hey, thanks for joining me, and thanks for your comments here, and also appreciate we've got about 300 subscribers now. That's pretty cool for just a common guy like myself. Anyway, looking forward to sharing with you in the future. Looking forward to your comments. I always try to reply, and like I say, subscribe if you want to keep up on what's going on. Until next time, happy fishing.